Hello! So this is ambitiously going to be a series within a series called What I Did Instead of Writing, because realistically, this is not the first time nor the last time that I am going to spend a week not writing. And even though the series is called Writing Wednesdays, I figure with the first two episodes, I stretched the concept enough that I can basically just come on here and talk about whatever I want. So I am currently nearing the end of the first semester of my internship. I know I've mentioned my internship several times during my NaNoWriMo series, but I've never gone super in-depth about what my internship actually is. It is a social media marketing internship for a film festival / film hosting website. And obviously there's the social media element of finding connections through social media, but there's also a lot of graphic design involved. And for this last week of the first semester of our internship, we will be presenting a pitch for a new social media strategy for the company. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. Not even just this past week, but like the past several weeks. And it's been really exciting. I've been learning a lot, but it's also kind of intimidating in some ways. For those of you who don't know, I went to college for acting. And while I have been doing one or two kind of actory projects here and there, it's been hard finding opportunities since I've graduated. And this social media internship in some ways kind of falls under the wheelhouse of what I studied in college because of the way the tracks are set up at my college. As a BA, I focused more on the script analysis part of acting as opposed to the craft of acting itself. But everything else that my social media internship focuses on, especially the graphic design stuff, is like leagues away from what I actually studied in college. And other than, like I said, the script analysis part, everything I've been doing in my internship has all been from things I've self-taught myself. Like, I've been using Photoshop to create my final concept proposal, and I've used Photoshop for like really minor touch-ups, but I've never done anything like this in Photoshop. And so even before I can start putting together my concept in Photoshop, it's been a lot of watching Photoshop tutorials on YouTube, just trying to figure out how everything works. But it's been really great for me, honestly, because even though I'm expressly learning these skills for my internship, I can then apply these skills that I've learned elsewhere, like in improving my YouTube thumbnails. So yeah, that's been kind of the main thing that's been occupying my time. I have also been thinking about the Winx Club fanfiction that I mentioned last week, and I will tell you about that as soon as I finish putting on my eyeliner, because I need to focus for this. Dips in my eyes are not completely even, but whatever. So there's somebody outside playing music really loudly. I'm not sure how much of it is actually getting caught on camera, but I was like sitting here waiting for this person to go. I thought the music was like coming from a car, so I figured you'd know it passed pretty quickly. But either the person is stuck in traffic, or it's actually like a person carrying a stereo and like walking, because that's like the pace at which the sound is slowly going away. I wonder how much of a problem that's gonna be once I move to New York. I guess it's gonna depend on how busy of an area I'm gonna move to. But anyway, the sound is mostly gone now. So my Winx Club fanfiction, if I could say I got any kind of writing work done, I was mostly rereading my Winx Club fanfiction this week. I started writing my Winx Club fanfiction in 2015, so I was already pretty old when I started at least posting Winx Club fanfiction. When I first started writing fanfiction in 2011, I was sort of at that phase in pre-teenhood where you're trying to be a little bit more grown up and like, oh, I don't like kids things anymore. It's childish things. I write about zombies and vampires. And I think it was only really towards the end of high school that I once again kind of started to embrace my love of middle grade and children's fantasy. The basis of the fanfiction is there are two sisters, Silver, who is a fairy, and Jade, who is a witch. And the main emotional conflict is between the two sisters, with Silver feeling betrayed because her sister Jade chose to become a witch instead of a fairy. On top of that, Silver is trying to assemble a team very similar to the Winx Club in order to combat a upcoming force looking to take over Althea, while all of the regular Winx Club are busy being guardian fairies. Now, I started writing this series before the recent seasons where the Winx actually did return to Althea, and I honestly wrote it coming from the perspective of someone who was really only familiar with the show up until season 3. I only started watching season 4 and onwards after I had already started writing the fan fiction, since my fan fiction was essentially a reset of the series. Like, Silver still hadn't even earned her Charmix, which is kind of like the first fairy upgrade from season 2. What was even more fun is kind of expanding the lore of the witches, because as much as the tricks are prominently featured in Winx Club, them being like these 3 witches who are evil and want to take over the world and defeat the Winx Club, as prominently on the show as they're featured and as much as they return as kind of recurring villains, we don't really know much about witches. And I always feel like those unknowns are where the fan fiction fun always comes in, because you can expand upon that lore and put your own spin on it. And similar to my Star Wars fan fiction, I honestly feel like I have enough original material in my fan fiction that if I tweaked and workshopped the lore enough, it could be its own series. And in fact, in getting rid of the fan fiction element, you free yourself of the rules of the existing lore of the property. But like I said, I'm still working on my project from NaNoWriMo, and while I'm not opposed to working on multiple projects at once, I feel like an original work and a fan fiction is kind of a good balance to have. I think 2 is my limit in terms of how many projects I'm willing to work on at one time. Like 2 original works and 1 fan fiction all at once, it sounds just like too much for my brain to handle. But I do want there to be some sort of break in between the drafts of my NaNoWriMo project. And I also like there to be a bit of downtime in between writing a draft and then sitting down to edit it. So my current goal with original fiction is to finish the first draft of my NaNoWriMo project and then maybe take a look at writing the new original fiction concept while I kind of let my first draft of the NaNoWriMo project sit and rest before going back to edit it. So that's where I am in terms of all my writing projects right now. I honestly wasn't expecting to talk so much about writing in a week titled What I Did Instead of Writing. Oh man, I'm applying my Physicians Formula bronzer right now, and I'm trying to like talk as I apply it, but the scent is so overwhelming. I'm having trouble focusing. Okay, so I filmed these on Tuesday, so they're ready to release on Wednesday. So as of today, it is 3 days away from Christmas, which is wild to think about. We usually have a family get-together on Christmas, kind of similar to what we do for Thanksgiving, but that is certainly not happening this year. California is actually on a complete stay-at-home order, but my family did buy a honey-baked ham, which is part of our Christmas tradition, so at least we'll have like some of the food of a usual Christmas. I don't know, I'm definitely bummed about it, but also I'm so dead from this whole year that part of me can't even muster up the will to care anymore that this isn't going to be a regular Christmas. Like, my family isn't even bothering to put up the tree or decorations or anything. On a happier note though, I have gotten an update about my diploma, so fingers crossed I get my diploma. Probably not for Christmas, but maybe soon in the new year. I'm hoping I at least get it before I move. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll have a link to my vlog from the July Camp NaNoWriMo when I was supposed to be receiving my diploma. I don't know. Like that meme says about the USPS Postal Service right now, it's in God's hands. So So there we go. That was my writing Wednesday, or rather, what I did instead of writing. Especially lately, I've just been having these really unproductive weeks. And especially with the holidays and my upcoming pitch for my internship coming up, writing just really hasn't been my focus lately. But you know, it's still nice to kind of just pop on camera and talk about how my week has been going. So how's your week been going? Let me know, and until then, I will see you next week.